Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Stevie. This is Stevie Reads, and today we are doing a best books of the year video for 2023, and I have exactly 10 books to talk about, which is beautiful. This is going to be short and sweet. It is a Friday afternoon. I just got off work and poured myself a little drinky drink. This isn't wine. It's soju, which is a liquor, so I felt like it should go in a wine glass. I'm probably not going to give synopsises on a lot of these books. I feel like they're really popular. Most people probably know what they're about. I'm not out here reading the nichest things in the world. But anyway, I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions. They are favorites. I just didn't find them this year because they're rereads. So I'm just going to talk about the books that I reread this year and I loved. Most of these I reread because I just wanted to annotate them and like reread a favorite book. So there aren't, you know, favorites that I found in 2023, but there are favorites that I read and still just want to briefly mention them. So first off, I reread the entire Rising Trilogy, just the first little trilogy, but reread these books, annotated them to filth. I absolutely loved these. They are so good. Darrow, he just has my heart, Darrow and Severo, but yeah, just had so much fun rereading these. They were like the second time that I had read them. I read this trilogy originally in 2020, so just wanted to reread and feel the magic again. Also reread Gone Girl. I just listened to this one on audio. I do want to reread this again for like a third time and annotate it, which is a little bit ridiculous, but I didn't know what I wanted to annotate. And then I like made a sticky note of what I want to do. So Gone Girl, story everybody knows, amazing movie, but an even better book. I know everybody says that about book to movie adaptations, but that's not the truth all the time. Gone Girl, so good. Gillian Flynn is a literal genius. Love this woman. I also reread Bunny and annotated this by Miss Mona Watt. I feel like I've talked about this in so many videos, so this is all you're getting. Read Bunny if you haven't. It's fucking amazing. I reread Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors just so I could annotate it because I absolutely love this story. And I actually read it for the first time in 2022. I read it in 2022, loved it. And then in 2023, I was like already needing that itch to like go back and reread it. So, you know, I just let myself do it, let myself reread a favorite. And yeah, such a gorgeous book. And then I also reread the Heartstopper books. I reread volumes 1 through 4 in anticipation of volume 5 coming out, and yeah, absolutely loved these again the second time. They're all 5 stars, but I think I reread them because the second season of the show dropped on Netflix and I watched the second season and then I just wanted more of this world, so I reread these 4 graphic novels in like a weekend, and it was so fun, and it made it so that when I read volume 5 I was like refreshed in the world, and it was really nice. But yeah, anyway, these are my last rereads, so those are just my honorable mentions, books that I absolutely love and I read this year but are not new favorites. That's what we're heading into now. So there are 10 of them. There's 10 books that I gave 5 stars in 2023 other than the ones that I just mentioned, and I read 103 books this year. So first one is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is a romance between Alexis and Daniel. It's an age gap romance where she is like 10 years older, and this just made me swoon. I absolutely loved this couple. I just think they were such a good match, and I could not put this book down. It is pretty chunky for a romance, but I just ate it up. I absolutely loved it. My favorite Abby Jimenez I've ever read. I didn't really love her other book that I read from her. I believe it's called The Friend Zone. I just read it from the library and it was a little problematic in my eyes. Didn't super like it. So I was apprehensive going into this, and I still gave it a 5 stars. I am going to go in order of the books in the order that I read them. Anyway, Part of Your World, if you haven't yet, it was a win for me. I really loved it. Next up is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and this one is an interesting story to kind of explain. First, me saying that I'm not going to tell synopsis and then me trying to explain it. Very briefly, it is between these 2 characters, Sadie and Sam. Starts off when they are children and then it ends, you know, when they are adults, and it kind of follows their lives. Such a beautifully told story. It also had a lot to do with video games, which I thought was really cool. I'm not a gamer by any means. I don't really like video games, but my husband does, and this was just a really cool look into his world. And like, I obviously love reading, he loves gaming, and we both have this love of stories. So it's really interesting to kind of see in a book that's talking about video games, see why it impacts people so much, how it brings friendships closer together. Sadie and Sam, it's not necessarily romantic, but these people love each other, they are family, and such a beautiful cover as well. I read this last January, and I just literally had to pick it up. It was staring at me from my shelves. Like, if you don't read me, I'll be offended. Like, this cover is so gorgeous. I dropped dead at it. And you know, the inside is equally as gorgeous. I love when that happens, and a gorgeous book lives up to its stunning outside. Number 3, another romance. Is anyone surprised? No, I read From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata, and oh my god! This book, Mariana Zapata puts drugs in her book. Like, this book is so fucking good. It is a slow burn. Nothing happens until like literally here. The angst, the longing, the tension, like, oh my god, Ivan Lukov, what a damn man. What a man. This book is so good. My favorite Mariana Zapata. I also really love From Winnipeg and Me, but this one is just my all-time fave. So good, and such a good winter read. So if it's snowing where you are right now, like it's snowing for me, I'm literally looking out my window right now to like the first big snow of the year. And if it's snowy and you want a nice romance, From Lukov with Love, this is the girl. This is the moment. She is, take a moment. She's everything. Also another romance, Twisted Games by Anna Huang, coming in at number 4. This is the second book in her, I think it's like the Twisted series. This is the romance between Reese and Bridget, and the trope is princess and bodyguard. So it's like forbidden because obviously he's the bodyguard, shouldn't be messing with the princess, and she is very like highbrow, like, you know, doesn't think he's below her, but she's not gonna like take any shit from him because she's the princess. And I just really loved this couple. I loved their banter. I do have one little tab in this whole book. I know 79 ways to kill a man, and I can make 70 of them look like an accident. Okay, Reese. This book was amazing. Obviously, it was my favorite in the series. I read that entire Twisted series, those 4 books, just, you know, throughout this year. I didn't read them back to back, but I read all of them this year, and this was my standout. I think Anna Huang's a very good romance author. Her romances are pretty different to one another, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Sometimes you know, find a romance you love from an author, and you read their books, and they just kind of seem like copy and paste the same story, but just different names. I think Anna Huang does a really good job creating different and unique characters, and I just absolutely loved Reese and Bridget together. Again, their chemistry and the tension in this, I think it's because it was forbidden, but oh my god, like, this was just everything. Absolutely love it. Again, a pretty chunky girl for a romance, but I guess the longer the better for me. Like, the more slow burn, the more you can drag it out. Reese Larson, love him. Finally, not a romance. I challenged myself this year to read 3 classics off of my classics shelves, and I actually accomplished that goal, so shout out to me. But my favorite classic that I read was The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. This is Sylvia Plath's only novel. Most of her work is poetry, and I do want to read her poetry as well, because after reading this, oh my god, I did read her poetry collection Ariel, but I didn't end up liking that. In this book, we're following Edith, and she has an internship in New York. So that kind of vibe, it's like 1950s in New York, and the main character wants to be a writer. So yeah, I just really loved this story. I think, you know, obviously this was written a long time ago, it's a classic, but it held up. I still think it was very relevant with a lot of the topics it was saying, you know, 70 years later. I actually don't know when this was originally published. It was originally published in 1963. Holy shit. Like 60 years ago. That's crazy that that's 60 years ago. But yeah, anyway. Bell Jar. I'm happy that I pushed myself to read some classics off my TBR, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have found this new fave. Sylvia Plath really was that bitch. She was. Next up is Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. If you've been watching people's best books of the year, you've probably been seeing this one everywhere. So again, I'm not going to bore you to death in the whole synopsis, but yeah, I read this. I loved it. I've read all of R.F. Kuang's backlist, like the Poppy War trilogy and Babel, and I've loved all of those books. So picking this up, I knew that I more than likely was going to just love it, like all of her books, but this one is contemporary, it's not fantasy. So I was a little bit apprehensive, but I shouldn't have doubted R.F. Kuang. She is going to go down in the history books, and I'm just so happy to be a reader when she is alive and publishing. Like, to be in the time of R.F. Kuang, truly a privilege. And that's what I love about reading, is you're happy about life. Like, the next time R.F. Kuang drops a book, obviously I'm going to be putting down everything in the world to read it. But anyway, yeah, this has a lot of commentary about the publishing industry. Just a little quote in here. It's not really spoilery, it's just beautiful writing, so I want to read it. But basically, she tries to do a digital purge because everyone's urging her to do this, like pretend that Twitter doesn't exist will solve all your problems. What's on the internet can't hurt you if you don't look at it. And she said, but it doesn't feel like a cleanse. It feels like sticking my head in the sand while everything is falling down around me. She's amazing. I will forever pick up whatever she puts out. And I do think I actually want to reread the Poppy trilogy as well. The Poppy War trilogy. Because I love those books, and it's been like a couple of years. I think I read that series in 2020 as well. Literally right over my shoulder as I'm talking about her. She's like, I'm looking at you. But anyway, loved Yellowface. Okay. Another romance, Nobody Shocked, The Right Move by Liz Tomford. I actually did a vlog on this book, or like vlogged when I was reading this book, so if you want my full opinions, I can link that vlog down below. But The Right Move is the second book in the Windy City trilogy. The first one was Mile High. I gave that one 4 stars. I liked it, not my fave, but you know what's cool is in that book the main character's name is Stevie, so kind of love that. But in this book, this is about Ryan and Indy, and Ryan Shea. Ryan Shea is the reason that I love this book so much. He is the man. There's just only good things to say about this book. I tabbed it a whole bunch. I love, love, love it. One of the tabbed pages that I have is just a quote that I really love that was like, I want the comfort of privacy, but I want her to be with me while I have it. And I was like, that's such an introvert to dream. But anyway, love The Right Move. Such a good time. A steamy, lovely, amazing romance. And yeah, it's like a contemporary one, which I kind of got back into. I was in my fantasy romance era, and I think I'm falling back into that. But for a while there, I was in my contemporary bag. And this was one that I was like, wow. I do have Caught Up on my shelves that I really need to read, which is the 3rd book in the trilogy, and I'm super looking forward to it after reading this one. I just need the time to read that one, but this one is so good. I love Ryan Shea. Me just sitting here hugging the book. You know, we just gotta drink to get through it. It's just talking about all these books I love. Getting sweaty. Next up, number 8. We are getting there, guys. The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. First of all, why are all my favorite books gorgeous covers? Because I love this cover. It's like a statue, but also gorgeous inside as well. I didn't tab this one, but I did like highlight it. Go back and tab, and I'm just gonna read this because I fucking love it. So we're in Briseis's head. This is Achilles' like captor lady, or his prize for the war, whatever. Somebody said to her something along the lines of like, you seem to have spent a lot of time watching him, talking about Achilles. She said, yes, I watched him every waking minute. And there weren't many minutes I allowed myself to sleep in his presence. It's strange, but just then when I said I watched him, I very nearly added like a hawk, because that's what people say, isn't it? That's how you describe an intent, unblinking stare. But it was nothing like that. Achilles was the hawk. I was his slave to do what he liked with. I was completely in his power. If he'd woken up one morning and decided to beat me to death, nobody would have intervened. Oh, I watched him all right. I watched him like a mouse. I watched him like a mouse? Okay, Pat Barker. It's just that writing that gets me. Oh my God, I love this. I love Greek mythology retellings. But when you add gorgeous writing, what can I do but add you to my favorites list? Like, obviously, this was in the top 10. I read this in November, so it's pretty recent, and it has stuck with me. I keep reading more and more Greek retellings since I read this. I picked up another one because I'm just chasing this 5-star feeling. When you pick up an amazing retelling, I mean, this is a story that has been ran into the earth. Everybody's heard stories of Achilles and Patroclus and Briseis, but it never gets old when it is written this beautifully. But anyway, The Silence of the Girls, y'all. You gotta read it. Yeah, my heart is full talking about all these books. Like, I had such a good reading year. I know I only got 10 new favorites, but not a lot of people get that. Like, come on. Coming in at number 9. Let me just yeet it across the room. My God, at least she's durable. Heartstopper Volume 5. Nobody shocked. I reread the 4 earlier in the year. They were still all 5 stars. I love the story. I love Nick and Charlie. The 5th one came out. I almost immediately read it when I got it. And yeah, I read it in one sitting. And it was just such a good night. I had the best time. Nick and Charlie are in love, but what happens next? What happens next is I read this book and I absolutely love it. So anyway, this didn't disappoint. I love it. I love this story. Love these boys. But yeah. Number 10. Again, if you've watched my vlogs, you are not going to be shocked at all by this answer, but Rouge by Mona Awad. This book came out earlier this year and I finally read it. It was my last book of the year. A great way to end my year with finding a brand new favorite. Mona Awad, again, what can I say? She's a genius. She has the weirdest mind, but I love it. I will forever pick up her books. I'm gonna read you a quote from this one as well. And this quote is literally on page 6, so not spoilery at all. Her mother is reading her a story and she's, you know, just talking whatever. It says, "You were such a lonely little girl, weren't you? Whispering to grass, befriending sticks, dreaming yourself into movies and books. Every screen, every page like a door to another world. Remember? Every screen, every page, a door to another world." I love Rouge. I love Mona Awad. I've loved everything she's written. Or I love, you know, the 3 books in this weird, creepy world that she's made. They're all kind of connected somehow. Who knows? Probably only Mona. But yeah, this was number 10 and it was everything that I could ask for. Anyway, these were my, if I can hold them up, my goodness. These were my 10 new favorite books that I found in 2023. Comment down below your new favorite book or your new favorite books that you found in 2023. I'm so interested. I just want to know. And, you know, add to my TBR, because why wouldn't I want to add to a TBR that's already over like 300 books? So happy to have read those. Thank you for listening to me gush about all my new faves. All my socials are linked down below like always, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!